Have no fear, Hippie here is here. And today we are gonna see what appears on my YouTube. So we're gonna actually be responding to a video by Scott John, talking about how Dracula sorta invalidates spirit, which makes no sense. So let's hop into a video and see what Gil Scott has to say. He's a great content creator. You should make sure you like and follow him. He has some very nuanced opinions, and I appreciate everything he says. He's a good guy.
Hey guys, Scott here. Today we're going to be talking about Dracula. I've turned off the blur because there's a very rare being behind us, and I'm not going to
I love the
waste that
kitty.
opportunity to display here. But Dracula, I've had a problem with him for a while now. Ever
Ours.
since they buffed his bat form, his entire existence just sort of invalidates the spirit. So we're at this scenario where he essentially is just a better spirit, but then also has powers on top of that. And in my opinion, it doesn't really make any sense. So I want to go over the actual numbers and explain why this is kind of stupid, in my opinion,
Hmm.
and what we can do to make it feel a bit more fair. Now, I don't think that Dracula needs to necessarily be nerfed overall. I think his power needs to shift between his individual powers. Because as it stands right now, a lot of his shit is just better than the killers whose powers it's similar to. And that doesn't make any sense considering he has three of them. So let's go over the main problem, I think, which is the bat form. So if we compare bat form to Spirit's phasing, Bat form is better than Spirit's phasing, just outright. It's Spirit's entire power, but Bat form is just one of three powers, and it's better than Spirit's phasing. So the only thing Spirit.
Okay, I want to say one thing about the spirit phasing. So spirit, she does have her normal phase, which is a great power. I love it how it hides the spirit so well. It is a very, very good, well thought out power that allows for high map mobility and high stealth at the same time. However, it's not her only power. Her other power she also has is a passive phase, which Dracula does not have. And when he turns into bat form, you can visibly see the bat as well, along with here the lullaby coming off of the bat form. So it's not really as good as Spirit's power in that regard. Um, so I feel like I disagree with him on that point.
Has that's actually better is the fact that Spirit can't attack immediately out of phasing. Other than that, almost every single thing is just better and
It's
in
a lot more
Dracula's
hidden.
favor. Now, don't get me wrong, the ability to swing immediately instead of having to wait the 2 seconds is a pretty big deal at a lot of loops, and it will
Very,
be the
very
difference
strong.
between you getting a hit, not getting a hit. But that assumes that the killer has no other power. He doesn't have a wolf form, and he doesn't have, a hellfire attack. So if it was just a standalone thing, then yes, Spirit would probably come, not even that. I would say Spirit still comes down on bottom because let's actually go over what the bat form allows you to do. So
No, no, that's a very hot take. I want to see, like, because I do not consider Dracula honestly not even close to the power level of Spirit and the capability she has in different matches.
first of all, the Spirit just moves at 110 movement speed, and Dracula is just a normal movement speed killer.
True,
So roughly the
true.
same power, but one is just faster by default. Now Spirit moves, I think, at like 7 meters a second, while in her phase form. But Dracula moves at like 6.5 or something. It's barely noticeable difference in terms of it being slower. So the speeds are roughly the same,
Hmm.
and Dracula can also just straight up fly over pallets, fly over windows. He can teleport to windows and pallets. He has insane hinder add-ons for when you do those actions, which are borderline overpowered in my opinion.
I thought you only had one
And he
hinder
can hear
add-on.
footsteps louder. He's got like sort of a built-in Strider effect. Like, and by far the most important thing in comparison to Spirit is he has no cooldown. There's no cooldown at all, and I think that is the most pressing issue. Spirit's cooldown has been sort of nerfed over time a lot. So there used to be a weird interaction with the duration add-ons for Spirit where it would actually unintentionally make her cooldown quicker as well. But they fixed that a while ago. So basically all you have now is like Rusty Flute, which is the cooldown reduction add-on. And with at that, her cooldown is insanely long. I don't know if you've played Spirit recently, but you basically have to choose, are you going to use it for map traversal or are you going to use it for chase power? You can't really choose both, because if you just use all of your power to get to a chase to start it, then you got to wait 10, 15 seconds before you can actually use the power again. But if you just waddle your 110% movement speed ass over to it and then use your power to down people, well, then you've wasted a bunch of time just walking there as a slower killer. So that also sucks. So the cooldown reduction, or the cooldown nerfs that she's gotten over time, have definitely made her weaker before. And I think she's in a really good place balance-wise now, by the way. I still think she's a really strong killer. A good Spirit is going to win almost every single one of their games, but she is notably...
Yeah, I will agree. I do think Spirit is actually in a really good place balance-wise. Maybe just a tad too strong, but not too strong. Too much stronger than what I feel like is acceptable. Um, the downside to her, though, I would say Spirit is a true accessibility nightmare, because for our hard of hearing people, they literally just cannot hear Spirit, and it's devastating. It's very unfair for them to go against it when they just don't have the capability to really do it. I wish they would at least like not only have the audio keys but also have some type of visual key for Spirit as well. I wish they would have like some type of water rippling on the ground effect. Not too much where it's very noticeable, but just like a few drops here or there, even when she's phased out. Um, so that like our harder hearing folks can at least have some idea where she's at. And like she's already a very strong killer, it would be a little bit of a nerf to her, but then I would say make the audio cue a little less as well, and that should help out. Give a little audio cue and a little visual cue as well, kind of like Wraith does, where you can see the shimmer on his body and you can hear his verbal calls that he always has. He always has his verbal audio even while invisible.
more balanced, in my opinion, than her original form with prayer beads being silent, mother daughter rank. She had insanely broken shit. Let's just not dance around the fact that she was super busted.
Yeah.
But they have nerfed her a lot now, and because of that, we have a Dracula who is just, he has that already existing power, but he just does everything, not everything, but most things better. And yeah, I think that's the main issue. It's the cooldown. The cooldown, the fact that it has just no cooldown at all. Like, I'm not even talking about the transitioning speed. I'm talking about the fact that you can just go into bat form as many times as you want with no real ramifications or downside. You can hit someone, go to bat form, fuck something up, go into bat form. They stun you with pallet, go into bat form. Like, there's no stopping you from just repeatedly doing this over and over and over again. Additionally, you can actually like kick generators in this form, so it's not even something Spirit can do where she's phasing around the map, still having map pressure. Like, it just doesn't make any sense why the cooldown is non-existent, and even the transition speed is so short on Dracula. One of those things, in my opinion, has to change. Now, maybe the 5-second cooldown that it used to have in the original version, maybe that's not enough. Maybe we do like 3.5 seconds or 4 seconds, but like the 2-point-something seconds that it has right now, it's too strong. That, or we need to buff Spirit again. Like, whatever option you take, I don't really care how you view the situation. You have to pick one of them. You can't have a world where you have Spirit here and then you have bat form here, but bat form is better than phase in almost every single way, and then he also has 2 other powers as well. It just doesn't make any sense, in my opinion.
I still disagree. I don't see bat form as being better because you're a big bat. You can see Dracula throughout. You hear the lullaby throughout. He can't immediately hit you out of bat form, and that a little bit of time allows you to get to a safe loot generally, or at least plan around it. So yeah, it's kind of weird he would say that it's stronger.
So what I would like to see is some of the bat form power taken away and put into the dog form, because the dog form is just absolutely not nearly as good as the other forms, and I think that's one of the main problems there. The bat form is just so much stronger than the dog form. You basically just play Dracula and bat form and ignore the dog form. So what I would really like to see is the dog form given some form of benefit in some way. Kind of like maybe we can make it so you don't have to use both charges of the lunge. Maybe you could save if you shoot one of the lunges off, because there's two lunges, if you shoot one of them off, maybe you realize I shouldn't have done that, and then you can stop it, and then maybe refund half your cooldown or something like that. Because the cooldown of the lunge, despite being the weakest power, is the longest. It's got a longer cooldown than the other two powers combined, which makes no sense considering it is by far the weakest power that Dracula actually has. So I don't understand why the balancing is so like wonky there. I think Bat Form needs a longer cooldown, or pick one, a longer transition time, so you do.
That's strange. Honestly, I would consider the wolf form to be, I would say, a tie for like being the strongest form, along with the vampire form. I would consider bat form to be the weakest because bat form does not allow you to do damage. It's just simply for mobility, and it's not any of the best mobility because you can't see auras during it, and it doesn't have any type of stealth aspect really to it, because you're so audible. Um, but like the vampire form and the wolf form, the vampire form is good at very unsafe palettes, particularly like filler palettes, where the stuff is at a lower level, so you can use your fire free those lower height objects and hit multiple people. The dog forms really is used for like jungle gyms, and like making distance up a lot of times, because it allows you to keep track of, if there's multiple people trying to buy block, you get the scent ores off of all of them. It allows you to go faster. It's great for zoning pallets. It's a very, very handy uh, um, handy power for zoning pallets and creating dead zones. I would even say it's probably better than the vampire form for creating dead zones. But I would say bat form, I guess, is fairly good at zoning pallets because you can move quickly to different ones, but I don't feel like it's nearly as strong as the form. Um, so it's kind of weird to hear his takes to it to me.
You can't just swing 2 seconds later, or an actual cooldown to where you actually like have to wait a little bit before you are able to use the bat form again. I'm not even talking a long one, just like 5 seconds or something like that. Just a short little thing, just so Spirit has something better. And again, we haven't even touched the whole
He has a
teleporting through
passive
palace windows
phase
and the
that has
insanely
her.
busted hinder add-ons. We haven't even touched that shit. Spirit's got nothing that good anymore. So that is, I think, what they should do. Again, there's a
Her
bunch of things you
add-ons
can do with
aren't
the wolf
as
form. I
cool.
think you should make it so you can only do one dash at a time and refund some cooldown, or maybe just make the dashes longer, give them more control, whatever. I don't care. I don't care what they do to the wolf form. Just give more power to wolf form and take power away from the
I
bat
think
form.
that'd be
There's
very
no reason
dangerous,
that he should
honestly.
have Spirit's phase, but better in almost every single way. It's sort of ridiculous. We haven't even touched on Hellfire yet, which is better than half the powers that's similar to as well. I feel like it's just better than Nemesis's Tentacle. It's better than Pyramid Head. It's just got a shorter cooldown. It's got less.
I would say it's not better. It can't hit through, like all jungle gyms, for example. It doesn't. You also have to keep in mind the passives off of Nemesis and the off of Pyramid Head, where Pyramid Head can outright deny anti-tunnel parts using cages, which is a huge, huge part of his power. And Nemesis has his zombies, which can give you free gym pressure. Like it gives you so much gym pressure just by having a random ass zombie walking around onto the generator scaring survivors off. He's even using like a ruin build the other day, and Dracula, he doesn't really have a passive. He has multiple powers, but his passives for those multiple powers are not very good. At least Vecna can injure somebody with a chest. Um, but Dracula, he doesn't really have that, which I kind of wish he did have some type of form of passive to help him out.
Penalties for missing. It's just it can be held better. It's just like basically he just has better powers than a bunch of killers that have similar powers, but he also has multiple of them. So in my opinion, Vecna is more of a killer that has three powers,
Oh,
but they're more fair. Like none of them are inherently super OP. Some are pretty underwhelming to interact with the survivor, but they're not like blatantly overpowered or anything like that. So I don't really have much of an issue with it. It's just we can do multiple powers fine, but the individual powers should not be notably stronger than the powers that they're copying or being similar from. It just doesn't really make any sense in my opinion. So, I mean,
It's strange for me here. I don't feel like Vecna's powers are I feel like the Vecna and Dracula they're probably the most similar type killers in that they have multiple powers. Um, but I would consider them to be like pretty interchangeable because I would say Dracula's stronger because Vecna does have the possibility to give Survivor magic items that they can use to fight back, but the Dispel Spear I believe actually gets rid of it along with hooking Survivor, so that helps fight magic items a bunch. And that chest I was talking about actually can injure people, especially if they're in solo queue, but that's about the only time it really happens. Um, but yeah, I would consider them very close. I would consider Dracula probably like low A, and Vecna I would consider him like high B.
those are my thoughts. Now, they did say in November that we would be getting a nerf for some type of Dark Lord change or something like that. I'm saying nerf because I'm like 99% sure it's going to be nerf. I would be flabbergasted if they buffed Dracula after all this. But we do know he's being changed in November, so
I hope
I'm
it's a
willing to
buff.
bet a lot of the stuff will actually take place anyway, probably before I'm even having a comment or impact on it. So if that happens, don't blame me for it. I'm just saying they've already probably done a lot of the stuff, and I think that's good.
Actually,
But yeah, I
I
just
hope
wanted to go
it's a
over this. I
quality of
feel like
life.
Spirit has been sort of left in the dust. So either buff Spirit or nerf Bat form. It doesn't really make any sense for these powers to both coexist at the same time when one killer has it being their entire power. So I'm curious to hear what you guys think. But yeah, those are my thoughts on Dracula. Bat form, a little overtuned. Hellfire's also still really good, but whatever.
Yeah, and since he is curious to have know what I thought, that's kind of one of the reasons I made a video. Um, yeah, I would say like as far as what I would like to see done to Dracula is honestly like you have to be careful. You don't want to overbuff a character, but you also don't want to under nerf him. Honestly, I would like to see where the speed on bat form is probably reduced, and then the cooldown on Windows, so you have to um, make better guesses on window teleports. I feel like that would be a good change, along with as far as quality of life, what I would like to see with ah, I feel like that would probably be the best way to kind of differentiate him and Spirit a little bit more. Um, not every killer needs items to fight back. I don't think he needs any type of items Survivors can use to fight back. Um, I would kind of like to see his speed on Wolfthorn increase just a little bit. Oh no, what I'm thinking, I would like to honestly have a way for while you're in bat form for you to track survivors other than just by hearing. Um, I feel like having it so that they can what's the word for it? Where a killer is all audio based, like Spirit, I feel is a bad design. Not only for like the people going against her, but like the people who are playing her as well. I feel like the survivors, while in bat form, should be able to be seen if they're within a certain distance while you're in bat form, and it should be very, very faint. Maybe just kind of like a race shimmer where you just see the outline of a survivor or something like that while you're in bat form. I think that would probably be the best quality of life thing for Dracula to receive. And then combined with reducing like the movement speed on bat form while also increasing the amount of teleports you can do while in bat form, I think would be very handy as well. Um, yep, but so that's it for today. I hope everybody has a great and wonderful day, and I will see y'all in the fog. Have a great day. Bye bye.